Tonight at 6, Guard deployment grows. Hundreds more members of the National Guard set to come into D.C. in less than 1 week after the president's deployment to fight violent crime. Pushing back, residents continue to say the surge of federal law enforcement is unnecessary. We're live with what they're hoping to learn, and soon.
And the weather today, well, it's been very summer-like. We even had a couple of storms out there. We'll show you the latest radar and talk about what you're in store for tomorrow as well. All coming up.
Going gaga for Go-Go, the annual party for the godfather of DC's cultural music genre. This town residents are celebrating Chuck Brown Day. And keeping cash, from savings on student loans to lowering your electric bill. We found several ways to stretch your dollar.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Saturday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. We begin tonight in the district with some breaking news. A White House official has just told us that National Guard troops deployed to DC may now be armed. That's an about-face from what defense officials said earlier this week. At the time, saying the Guard was not carrying weapons. Meantime, members of the Guard are spending their first weekend deployed on city streets after President Trump's takeover of MPD. Hundreds more members may soon be on their way from West Virginia. More in a moment. We continue to see residents protest the deployment to fight violent crime. The president claims it's out of control, but many residents believe federalizing the Metro Police Force is unnecessary. And there's more opposition tonight for this increased law enforcement in D.C. by the federal government, of course. Hundreds of people delivered their message today to the White House after President Trump took action. Our Dave Laval joins us from DuPont Circle, or from the White House. Dave, what message is coming about from these protesters?
Well, several demonstrators remain here at DuPont Circle. Their message to the president is quite clear: hands off D.C. Several hundred demonstrators made their way to the White House after they marched to it from DuPont Circle, the starting point for today's protest. People from around the district made up the majority of the crowd, which also drew others from around the DMV. What they're not happy with is the presence of federal law enforcement agencies and the National Guard who are patrolling city streets. They oppose the president's actions and made their voices clearly heard by those gathered outside the White House.
Concerning are the ICE raids and the presence of the National Guard. And the National Guard honestly look very bored right now because there's nothing to do.
Several demonstrators told us they're not ruling out more demonstrations in the future. We're live at DuPont Circle in Northwest. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey's just announced this morning he is planning to send hundreds of members of the National Guard to D.C. He's saying that came at the request of the White House. In part, the Guard, quote, will include providing mission essential equipment, specialized training, and approximately 300 to 400 skilled personnel as directed. The mission will be funded at the federal level. The West Virginia National Guard remains steadfast in its commitment to its longstanding National Capital Region partnership. Alrighty, time is 6:03. Let's get a check on the forecast. DC News Now meteorologist Scott Sumner here. Scott, pretty nice way to start our weekend. A little bit humid out there, but we're still in the woes of summer, if you will.
Absolutely. It's still August here, middle of August. We expect this type of weather in the district and elsewhere here up and down the eastern seaboard. We're sitting at 89 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, a southerly breeze at 9 miles an hour. The sun sets at 8:01 tonight. I believe tomorrow night is 7:59 or either 8 o'clock or 7:59. So this would be the last weekend that you could potentially see a later sunset beyond 8 p.m. Temperatures, as we see, are going to be going down as we go throughout the 80s and into the 70s and just hold in the 70s overnight. Tonight it'll be warm and humid outside. And wherever you saw a few showers and storms today, you may get a little patchy fog out there as well. Earlier on, right along the I-270 corridor as well as I-70, saw some showers coming down from the Hagerstown area in towards the Frederick area. None of those were severe, but there was one severe thunderstorm, which was right around Winchester, say around 2 o'clock or so, 2:30. That dissipated, and now this is, you see the current scene, not much going on as we take right up to the current time frame. Now, as we pull back from here, we do have a front that's going to be moving on in tomorrow. This front is going to produce some more scattered showers, probably a little more numerous in volume and coverage tomorrow than what we had today, but we'll show you that coming up in the main weather in just a bit. But after that front moves on through, temperatures, they're going to take a little bit of a nosedive here, and we'll talk more in depth about this as well coming at the main weather in just a few moments. Ben?
All right, Scott, we'll see you in just a bit. Another component of President Trump's takeover of D.C. police, that's to get rid of those homeless camps. He's ordered police to help federal agents get that all done. One of the latest sites was cleared at Washington Circle, where more than a dozen federal law enforcement agents tried to make it happen, giving out notices saying people have until the end of the weekend to leave. Our Daniel Hamburg has the latest.
Under the direction of the federal government, D.C. police led the clearing of homeless encampments Friday.
They were shocking and they were lightning fast, and we were not expecting it to go the way that it was.
Andy Wasenick, director of policy for Miriam's Kitchen, watched as the Department of Public Works trashed tents and belongings left unattended.
Folks who weren't there, their tents were just thrown away. There was one person who was there this morning, and she was able to pack up her stuff and move on. And I think we were able to get her in a hotel for at least a couple nights.
He's talking about Megan Abraham, who we talked with Thursday night.
We're just people. We're normal people out here working, trying to do well. And things like this is really like to pack up every belonging I have and move to someplace else. Like, that's a stress that shouldn't exist.
Wasenick says 5 or 6 encampments were cleared, including this one near 26th and L Streets.
People have no choice but to sleep outside. Rent in D.C. for an average one-bedroom is $2,300 a month.
The district says it has and continues to offer transportation to shelter, storage of items, access to behavioral health and/or medical care, case management, and connection to other services as needed.
What we're hearing and understanding is that, like, it's done for now, but like that, you know, people could still be engaged by the police, right, and asked to move along.
Daniel Hamburg reporting. D.C. officials, though, continue to say that these hurried camp closures are not their doing, rather the federal government. Homeless resource group Miriam's Kitchen says that they'll have people working this weekend to connect folks to shelters. Well, the federal takeover of D.C. police also comes as police extend a special curfew where Navy Yard, and that started an hour ago, continues until Monday morning, meaning large groups of kids are not allowed to get together. Extended coverage of the curfew crackdown coming up tonight at 9. And the federal government's plan to install an emergency police commissioner for D.C. That's history. Chief Pamela Smith will stay in control of MPD, and that comes after the Trump administration wanted to order the Drug Enforcement Administration top official to take over, Terry Cole. But the legal battle between government officials continues. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi filing new executive order after the hearing that says Cole has the power to direct Mayor Bowser to provide services of D.C. police as the Attorney General deems necessary and appropriate, including assistance with the enforcement of immigration law, so long as it doesn't violate D.C. law. Well, we have learned that the court has ultimately opted the two parties to get together. Smith remains the top cop. Well, the fight over the Trump administration's decision this week, that, of course, continues. Organizers say they're still holding several events, and also in order to protest Republican-led efforts to redraw congressional maps. They're considered peaceful in the district. Attendees working on banners and protesters also making posters, flyers, and ran campaign orientations. You can see our full coverage of this takeover on our website, dcnewsnow.com, plus many reaction to the president's actions, what families can expect, and a breakdown of violent crime statistics. All new tonight, we have learned that a man died while in police custody at the Alexandria City Jail just yesterday. Police say they responded to an apartment building around 5 o'clock last night on North Beauregard Street near the 395 Express Lane. They had gotten several phone calls of a man running up and down apartment hallways, yelling and knocking on doors. He was arrested for public intoxication after officers reportedly tried to calm him down. However, once he got to the jail, we're told he needed medical assistance and medics tried to save him, but he died. It's unclear, though, what medical assistance the man needed. A Maryland mother accused of killing her children more than a decade ago will undergo another evaluation to see if she can stand trial. Catherine Hoggle appeared in Montgomery County Court yesterday. That's where her attorney argued she's still not competent to stand trial. But prosecutors say her status at the time of the original arrest does not apply now. The judge agreed, granting the request for a psychological evaluation, and that should be shared at a hearing on September the 8th. The 38-year-old was recently recharged with the murders of her two missing children who disappeared in 2014. At the time, she was found not competent to stand trial, and the charges were eventually dropped. However, she was recharged when she was released from a mental hospital last month. DC News Now is your local election headquarters, and there's ranked choice voting in Northern Virginia for key Arlington County board positions. Our partners at ARLnow.com reports voters can choose up to 3 candidates. There are 5 people, though, running for the open Arlington County board seat. The other elections in the county will, though, go by the traditional voting format. You can learn more about ranked choice voting at a community forum event on September the 10th. That's at Lubber Run Community Center. And election officials hope to have sample ballots available before Labor Day. All right, TikTok, you're running out of time to take advantage of Maryland's tax-free holiday. Tonight is the last night to avoid taxes for key items before headed back to school, among several other ways to save. That holiday's run all week, marks no sales tax on clothes or shoes, priced at $100 or less. Plus, no tax on the first $40 for backpacks. So make sure you grab the sales before they all come to a close tonight. The Washington Commanders are getting close to their second preseason game against the Bengals. However, the team had some big news to start their practice just this morning. Sports reporter Tiger Munn and Alex Flum report.
It is Saturday out here in Ashburn for Commanders training camp, and this is the last practice open to media before the team's game against Cincinnati on Monday. And Alex, they had some pretty big news earlier today.
Yeah, huge news. We've been watching what's happening with Terry McLaurin this entire training camp, and this morning finding out that the team is activating him off of the PUP inactive list. And we didn't see him out on the practice field because he's got to go through the ramping up activities, but this is a pretty good sign that we could be seeing Terry McLaurin involved pretty soon. Here's what the team had to say about Terry today.
The announcement regarding Terry off of PUPs, that's good news, and that'll begin like the return to play process for him. Yeah, from the medical side, contract, like definitely separate. This is about his getting ready to play, which is, you know, like honestly awesome. It's just cool, you know, to see him, you know, getting closer, because now you know, like, okay, steps are getting closer to return to being on the field.
I'm excited, hell yeah. Like, no, what Terry means to this organization and this city and what he's done in his career, I mean, that means a lot, but also like just, you know, what I've got to experience last year playing with him in regards of, you know, how he plays and what his play style is and, you know, how he approaches this game and devotes his time to it. Like, that's super exciting to get back on the field.
And head coach Dan Quinn saying after practice, we will not see Terry McLaurin playing against the Bengals on Monday, but a pretty important player for this team will be playing, and that's quarterback Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels will be playing. Dan Quinn saying today that he wants him to play a few series. We don't know exactly how many, but he will be suited up playing on that field at Northwest Stadium on Monday. And from here in Ashburn, that's Alex Flum. I'm Tiger Munn, sending things back over to you guys in studio.
Our thanks to Tiger and Alex. Coming up, stretching your dollar for anybody who's burdened by student loans. We've got consumer tips on how to take care of those recurring costs. Plus, we are meeting the couple who is opening a brand new assisted living home in Prince George's County just next week. What they've got to say about their own community.